Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast with your hosts Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Divert your phone and grab a brew as Waz and Nick unpack tips, tales, secrets and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside your trade, helping educate and inspire you to break the cycle of gut-busting and money stress and create a true trade business.
I always wanted to go viral.
I was sitting here thinking, you going to talk first or am I?
No, I was thinking the same thing, so I thought I'll just bite the bullet and hook in.
Just get straight in. G'day listeners, welcome back to the Tradies in Business podcast. Welcome back. Have you been listening to lots of episodes? Maybe you're a first-time listener.
Welcome back.
I'm sure there's like first-time listeners that hear me say, welcome back, welcome to another episode, and they're like, well, this is the first one I've listened to. So
who is this guy?
Wally. I'm just a superstar. So if you're a first-time listener, I apologise for my co-host in advance. She's very smart and I'm not.
I'm going to leave that one there.
Great to have you listening to the podcast. Today's episode, awesome episode actually.
It's another one of those ones that you're just not quite sure how it's going to go and then blindsides.
I think most of our guest interviews are like that,
well,
aren't
that's true. Some of them we walk away and roll our eyes and think, oh God, what did we do that for?
And it's often because of the subject matter. It's like viral videos. No one can do a viral video anymore unless you're, scantily clad or blowing things up or being controversial. But
wrong.
That's all wrong, Warwick.
You're wrong.
See? You are the smart one.
Hello. We're finally arriving to this conclusion after 12 months of working together.
Yeah. So today's guest is talking about viral video, in case you hadn't figured that out, and how you can do that in your trade business, which is super cool. I was pretty pumped after this. I want to make a viral video, Coxie, and I want you to be the star.
Why do I have to be the star?
Because I don't want to be.
Okay, fine. I'll do it. No problems. Let's do it. Will we shoot it this afternoon?
Yeah, let's do it. If you've ever wondered what it takes to make great video, it doesn't have to be viral, but doing video for your trade business, Johnathan's got the lowdown for you.
The secret sauce.
Now, if you when you listen to this episode, you'll notice I cut him off when he goes to share a big knowledge bomb. And we've actually saved that for our Trade Desk members. So Trade Desk members, make sure you continue to listen to this episode first and then go log into the Trade Desk and you'll get that big knowledge bomb around the golden rule and some really cool deep dive stuff that Johnathan shares there. For the rest of you listening, there is still a heap of gold in this interview. There is a stack of stuff in here that you can execute in your business straight away. So have a listen and take lots of notes and go have a crack at making a viral video.
And when you do, tag us so we know what you're up to.
Yeah, stick it in the free group. If you're not a member of the free group, go to Facebook. Search the groups for Tradies in Business, join the group, and share your viral video in there. Let's help you get it viral. Because we got over 1,000 Tradies in Business in the free group.
Ding, ding, ding.
And
here goes a few viral videos.
If you post your video in there and get people in there sharing it, help each other go viral.
That's what we're about at Tradies in Business.
Good for your page. Anyway, enjoy today's episode. Hooroo.
Bye.
Alrighty, so we're joined today by Johnathan Creek from Virable. How are you, Coxie?
I'm doing better, thanks. How are you?
I'm very good. We'll welcome Johnathan on in a second, but when we first got Jonathan's... Well, Johnathan pitched us, which is cool. We like getting pitched here.
We like being pitched, yes.
We love guest pitches. And we've had some fascinating guests that have just come from connections and pitches. So, listeners, if you do have an interesting guest that you think we should have on the show, either tell them to come on the show and just do it, or send us their details and we'll go hit them up as well. But I read Jonathan's little brief and it was like, viral video. Don't know if many tradies are going to be able to do a viral video other than perhaps the state of their ute or something like that. But
I don't know. I can think of a few things.
So rather than me crap on about it, we're going to let Johnathan actually do a way better job of it. Johnathan, welcome to the show, mate.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome. There you go.
That's
right.
Viral,
the big mistake. But thank you.
You've welcomed us
Very happy to be here.
Office, mate, so that's good.
Yeah.
Now, mate, give our listeners a bit of background, Johnathan. Obviously, you have a business now called Virable, and I suspect that's all about viral video. But, mate, take us back in your journey. Where did it all start?
Well, for me, it all started, I won't go too far back, but it did start for me as a kid, to be honest. I lived in a street in middle-class Melbourne. It was pretty much the edge of the suburbs when I was there in the 80s. And essentially, at the age of 9, there were 18 kids under the age of 16.
Wow.
And basically every weekend all we did was ride bikes, and we used to play this game pretty much where we drew on the footpath, and it was a road, and in front of everyone's house you had a business, and there was probably, out of the 16 kids, there was probably 10 lemonade stands. And my thinking was, there's too much lemonade in this market. How can I take advantage of that? And so I went to Dick Smith and I got a spy kit, and I transformed it into a broadcaster. So I set up my own radio station, because it was the summer of the 80s. It was the 80s, and everyone had Walkmans, so everyone was riding their bikes with Walkman. So I set up a little local radio station on the fire hydrant and would sell space to the lemonade stand operators to spruik their lemonade. And this sort of gathered a lot of attention and a lot of chatter, and then I'd have another radio and I'd play music in between the interviews. So media and communicating fascinated me from a very early age. In high school, I'm recorded as the first person ever to submit a school project on video.
Wow.
So, I submitted a Year 12 project on video. And back then we didn't even have editing facilities, so we had to edit it or record it in camera. It was one of those big VHS things. So it was a bit bumpy and a bit ugly, but it was, I just had this fascination with communicating with technology and what's the latest way to do it and how are humans responding to it, and then how can humans be manipulated by it, not in a bad way, but, because marketing and sales is, sometimes people will need your service or your business, but they still need that push.
Yes.
Yeah.
So buying into that, and then that led to me working in TV. And so I was a TV reporter for 15 years until about 2012, when I realised that the internet and viral content taking, I'd go have experts around me and spend tens of thousands of dollars creating a 4-minute piece for one of the big networks, and there'd be some kid with his dad's handycam in the backyard that would get more views than mine. And I was like, why? And that was just that question of, why do people share? Why do videos go viral? What does this kid have that I don't have after 10 or 15 years of experience? What is it? And so I just started dissecting viral videos, because I saw them as the alpha predator of content online. And the original goal was to learn what's the secret formula to viral videos. How can I recreate viral videos end on end on end? And that was the birth of Virable as a company, which was to be a viral video production business, to work with brands. But this was back in 2012, when big brands were more interested in click-through banners and Google ads and SEO and all the dark arts. And so it was a hard slog. But what ended up being supposedly 6 months of research into viral videos took 5 years. And what I learned was that there is no secret formula. There is no one script fits all, but there is a process, and there are steps that each individual person can take, almost like DNA, to resonate better with their videos, to resonate better with their communications, and actually connect better with humans. And if that's to drive a business outcome or to increase your bottom line, then you can do it. You just have to use different triggers in how you communicate to do it. So it's about understanding those. And so in a way, Virable has transformed from more of a production company to a consulting, education type business. And that's where it sits. And I love it because I get to help people. I love working with smaller businesses where I can deal with the bosses, startups, self-employed tradies, because they're willing to take more risks. You don't have 10 people sitting around a boardroom where you just need one to cast doubt and then the whole idea's gone.
Yep.
You can go to these people and say, you know what, you don't have to spend the big ad budget. You don't have to compete against the big guys. If you can create smarter content, you can actually reach further with less money just by being switched into your own viral DNA.
Yeah. And it's something that I've heard a lot over the last probably 5 years or so, is that, and I can't remember who says this, there's never been a better time to be in small business. It's one of the big names, but basically because we all have access now to the interwebs and all this fantastic technology, we've all got a 4K video camera in our pocket. The playing field has leveled a lot when it comes to producing reasonable quality content as far as the technical aspects of it. We can capture good audio for not much money. And so it's really brought a lot of those tools to small business and to tradies even, that were previously only available to people with massive budgets that could afford good cameras and good sound gear and techies to drive it all, So I love the fact that, there's people like you in this space that are actually basically teaching small businesses how to play in that market.
Yeah, I think it's Gary Vaynerchuk who talks about that, and it is a really good point. The barrier to entry now is to play in a space of enriched media is so cheap. So when I started Virable, which was 2012, we had a couple of big broadcast cameras because that's what the big brands wanted. The people we're working with, if you didn't turn up with a big 30-kilogram camera that was worth close to 6 figures, kid you not, they'd look at you and go, okay, right, this is okay, we can work with this. I made a decision where the camera that I'm talking on now, I bought it 3 or 4 years ago. It was less than $3,000 or $4,000 then, with a lens on it. And I've been using that for 4 years, and it's a 4K camera, DSLR. I turn up and shoot TV commercials on it. I turn up and use my iPhone X, and people know you can away with the quality, and people don't know. So the whole ego thing's dropping out of the market. Yeah. It's not great news for production companies because there is a push down on price.
Yeah.
So there is a downside to it because there are some guys that have got some really expensive gear, and a couple of times I'd turn up and I'd still be charging the top rate that you would charge with the big camera, and they'd look in and say, "What, you got everything in your backpack?" I have everything in a small backpack, including a drone. So I can fly 4K, I can shoot 4K. I've got 3 cameras because I've got 2 spare old iPhones. You whack a stabilizer on there, which is only another $200. It sits in the side pocket. Only yesterday I just went and bought this new wireless microphone system. So now I can set my phone up on a stabilizer, direct it to track me, and then I can be up to 70 meters away and the camera's filming me wherever I go, and the audio.
Yeah.
And I'm monitoring the audio through my AirPods.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It's so simple.
It's ridiculous. I wouldn't have needed a spy kit. I look at my kids now and say, you got an iPad, you've got a camera. Yeah, you can control the lights in the house with this thing. You don't realize how lucky you are.
Yeah, so true.
Yep.
It is an amazing time. And, I think the key is that, yes, the technology is there and easy, but the bit that people are missing is how to tell their story, how to communicate properly. And this is the problem that people face, is that when they don't know how to communicate properly, then fear comes in. And, all fear comes from the fear of the unknown. So if it's foreign to you and you don't know how it's going to work, or you don't know what the outcome's going to be, you get this fear. And so that's what comes out of viral videos. Viral videos, particularly the ones that are branded, always come out of brands who know exactly who they are and exactly the types of stories they need to tell and how to tell them to their audience for them to be a success. The moment they step away and try and do something a bit different, their audience sits there and goes, no, that's not what I'm used to. I don't like this. I'm not going to watch that. And then you start losing trust if you do it over and over again. So I think that's the first important step for small businesses, is work out who you are. And it's pretty simple. If you're a lawn mowing service, are you the cheap budget saver lawn mowing guy? Are you super saver Steve? Or you're the high-end, come and manicure all your hedges into the shapes of dinosaurs, make your house look incredible, mulch everything, make it look immaculate type of guy. Because that's, once you work that out, your videos come from that. Super Saver Steve, he can just whack a GoPro on the handle of his lawnmower and say, I just did this lawn in record time, 45 seconds or whatever it is, right? And that can be his constant race. Where the other guy, he's probably going to have to invest a bit more in his production levels to match his price and his brand. And that's where it goes. And, it's that simple.
Do you think that changes a bit, Johnathan, with the fact that I reckon 90% of trade businesses don't do video, they don't use video, they're not creating good content? Does it actually create more of an opportunity for even the high-end players to simply strap a GoPro on the helmet for a day? They don't have to go the whole hog because no one else is actually doing it? Or do you think it still needs to have that alignment between their level and what they produce?
I think it's a really good point. And I think we're still in a market uptake. We're just prior to mass market, so it's still early adopter model. So I suppose the advice there is that any video is better than no video. There's no doubt about that. And I've got a guy who runs a spider lift business. And I just, my advice to him is when they just put a spider lift on top of a high rise in Melbourne, and it got lifted up there by a crane. And it's like, A, record yourself standing there as they're hooking it up to the crane. B, look at it going up there and react, and whack a camera on it as it goes up, because the vision you're going to get, people have never seen it.
Yep.
And that's not well public. You just put that out raw. It's a bit bumpy. You get that GoPro noise. But people put up with that stuff. It's the real reality TV. And it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, what we see with a lot of viral videos now is if they're not perfect, they work even better. Because you get these brands and these advertising agencies that say, you know what, we've been making TV ads for 20 years or 30 years. Hey, Mr. Coca-Cola or whatever, we'll make you a viral video. And they go and make this sort of edgy TV commercial, but it's so polished that that everything that's happening in there is fake. The hidden cameras aren't hidden cameras. And the subconscious of the viewer, that we're smart. We're like, oh no, we're not buying that Coke. Come on, get over it. So it's the reality and bringing it back real that really works. And there's a guy who I saw, he's got like 26 million views, and he's a plumber. On how to fix a leaking Caroma toilet. Aussie. So, that's people, hey, what are the most installed toilets in Australia? Probably Caroma. What's the one problem that they're going to have as a toilet? Well, some stage they're going to wear out and they're going to leak. Why don't I make a video to give them a hack on how to fix it? Boom. He's got more views than there are Australians. It's ridiculous.
It's madness.
I think it's interesting to note for our tradies, when I talk to my husband, who's a builder, about what he does all day long, it's just normal to him. It's like me sitting at my desk and looking at my pile of paperwork that is boring and normal to me. But what's boring and normal to him or the tradies or me is very different for the other people wanting to see what's going on. So there's a lot of content to be made around what it is you do every day. The fact that there wasn't a wall there half an hour ago and you've just created the guts of the wall and sheeted it is actually really interesting to normal people. Whereas, to a builder, that's probably really boring because you do it all day, every day. But you're not advertising to another builder. You're advertising to your clients who want to know what goes on.
And there's also, an expert level that if you're prepared to put yourself on camera, you're not going to be putting yourself on camera if you're doing a dodgy job.
That's right.
If you're not following the standard, if you're not backing your skills, you're not going to do it. But you only have to look at the market, and renovation shows for the last decade are over-indexing people. It's not just the drama of shows like The Block people watch. They actually watch to see how can we turn this empty shell or this ruined bathroom into something spectacular. And, does it inspire us to do it too? It's it's a cycle.
One of the things I say to trade business owners as well, it's like, for Coxie and I to create video content, generally it looks like this. It's our two ugly mugs on a screen. There's not much interest factor in that.
Excuse me.
And so for us to attract attention or, I guess stand out, we've got to be pretty creative as a talking head kind of business, and we've done that with a series of our ads recently with me sitting on the loo doing business on my phone and hiding in the bushes and all sorts of crazy stuff, but for tradies it's a visual industry. It's a visual thing, whether it's mowing a lawn or building a house or unblocking a drain, all the gross stuff that comes out of the downpipe, or it's such a visual thing. It's almost a no-brainer to grab some of that on video. And it doesn't have to be spectacular footage. It's stuff that most average punters never see. They don't know what's inside a wall or a roof or under their slab when all the pipe work and the waffle pods go down. It's fascinating stuff to a lot of people. So, yeah, there's really no excuses there, Johnathan.
No, I don't think there is. And, I think as far as videos in the building industry online go, it's usually pranks against apprentices.
Yes.
That's about as far as it goes now, to be honest.
Yeah.
But what really fascinates me is, there's two types of videos that I want to see out of the trade thing. I would love someone just to live stream lunchtime.
Yeah.
Lunchtime discussion that these tradies would have, right? Seriously, that would be, it'd be, it would be amazing. It would be an insight. It would be a brave person who does it, and you'd need some responsibilities, but not too many, because then you ruin why you're doing it in the first place.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
The second one I want to see, and this is maybe not so much tradies, but small business owners, is I'm stunned that there still isn't a top YouTube channel around pest control. Guys who are going in under houses, finding homes that are purely eaten out by termites or infested by big spiders, or, catching the biggest rat on planet Earth. If you're going to be a pest control YouTube channel, Australia is the country to do it, because
So
as we
true.
know, every creature out there is trying to kill us. So, I just don't understand why there isn't someone doing that. And I'd really love to help anyone who wants to do that. I'll actually give them a free session to give them the whole map, because I just want to see it. I'd be fascinated by look.
I reckon we've got a member
We've got a few.
in the trade desk.
Yeah.
I think he's in the trade desk. He might not be, actually. I think one of our Tradies in Business members is a pestie, and he's got a bit of a character about him. I reckon he'd be bang up for that. So we're going to have to put a shout out.
Yeah, we'll do a little whisper in his ear.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get him on board.
So it would work, right? Can you see it happening?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, totally. I was on Snake Watch with Coxie here at the Brisbane
Go
office,
today.
getting her washing off the line. There's been some snakes around her back courtyard, and
In the
she's
middle
like,
of the city, I might add.
come and keep an eye out for snakes while I get my washing off the line.
Yep, otherwise it's going to sit out there for another week.
And, that's a totally normal conversation here in Australia.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah, well, didn't I think I saw on the news the other day a woman in Queensland woke up with a python in her bed.
Yeah, licking her face.
Hang on. This is a family show.
No. This is still. Sorry, listeners. We end the snake time.
Speaking of live streaming lunchtime tradie conversations,
Oh,
crikey.
look, I don't know about those.
So, Johnathan, there must be some secret formula to making a video go viral.
Yeah, there really is. There is steps, but as I said earlier, it's a different formula for every person, because it's like DNA. So it's like, who are you? And I think the biggest problem that a lot of people suffer is that they get romanced by others' ideas. So they see someone else who's their competitor doing something, or they see someone overseas who's not them doing something and it's successful, and then they try to repeat it and copy it.
Yep.
That's not how it works. To communicate authentically, which is what has to happen for a viral video, is that you have to get the viewer to buy in. And if you're faking it, they sense it and they never buy in. So what we actually realize is that there's a 5 to 6 step process for a video to go viral. And what makes it different to other videos online is that when you're watching something, you have to feel something.
Yes.
But you can't be consuming content and not be reacting with a feeling in your brain. Now, what happens is that as you're consuming content and you're feeling, what viral videos do is they raise your level of feeling. Some do it really quickly, some they're slow burners, but essentially there's a switch in your brain that triggers a physical response. So once you're stimulated enough, that response gets triggered, and the response that you want is sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's, it can be likes and it can be comments, but the one that you really want to send it is sharing, and that's the hardest one to get. So you have to be really peaking them. The best way to describe it is if you've gone to the movies and never cried at the movies. That's the same thing. Yes, you have. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm a crier.
Despicable Me.
No, it's Up. You can't not cry enough.
Oh, I bawled my eyes out at Up.
I just see the little man now and I cry. I'm terrible.
Was his name Stan? Stan?
I think so.
I think it was Stan. Yeah, that was a terrible movie.
It's a very emotional movie.
Anyway, sorry, Jonathan.
What's going on?
I'll let you in on a little secret. I've actually got a broken ankle at the moment. I was walking with a walking stick with a boot, and everyone was calling me Stan.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That's a bit cute.
So yes. Yeah, so it's about getting to that level of emotional buy-in that's going to trigger someone to respond. To respond. The problem is, how do you get them there? And there are a number of things that they're actual hurdles, and if you don't pass those hurdles, they're going to check out before they even get close.
Yeah.
So the first thing you have to do is you have to reach an intrigue point. Now, you've probably heard social media gurus around the world saying, humans only have the attention spans of goldfish now. They're not going to watch a video that's any longer than 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Well, I beg to differ. I'm on the speaking circuit. I love it when I come up after a social media guru who's made claims like that, because I love to just say, well, you know what? Go speak to James Cameron, who's just put out 4 movies that are all over 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And, he makes billions of dollars every time he does it, and you sit in those movies and no one ever leaves.
Yeah.
They don't. So what it is what's happening is there's just so much video being created that we're becoming fussier. The days are gone where you can just put a video out and it works. So humans are fussy. You've got about 8 seconds to capture their attention. Now, capturing their attention has to do 2 or 3 things. It has to be relevant to them at the time and in their life. So they have to have a pain, and that's marketing 101. If you're trying to sell something, you have to stir up the pain. What's their problem? And then you have to convince them that you're going to be giving them the answer. The biggest mistake people make is they give them the answer straight away.
Yes.
And by giving them the answer straight away, they haven't bought enough time to build up that emotional level to trigger the share.
Yeah. Yep.
They just go, bang, I've got this problem. Oh, this guy solved it. Awesome. Thanks. I'm out. And you don't get the benefit.
Yep.
So it's about, how do you buy that time? Well, you've got to buy the time by hijacking their attention. Now, the way that you hijack people's attention is by telling them a story. Now, everyone talks about storytelling, and you've got to tell your story, and storytelling's this and that, but not many people actually know the structures and the frameworks that come around storytelling. The easiest and probably most simple is the 3-act play. That's the Avon lady. Is the 3-act play. And do you want to get that? Are you okay?
No, it's fine. They go away if we ignore them.
So we get the 3-act play. Now, the 3-act play is where you have the start of the story, and the start of the story has to be identifying a problem driven by their desire. So exactly what I just mentioned. The next thing you have to do is take them on a journey. If Princess Leia had lost the plans to the Death Star in the first 10 minutes of the first Star Wars film, we wouldn't have had the other 7 or 8. It would have been all over. Right? So they take you on a journey. So you've got to take someone on a journey. You've got this problem. This is where it comes from. How can you tell that you've got it? Look, I'm thinking of the guy fixing the toilet here.
Yep.
Have a look here. You'll see some rust or signs or some water damage in the plaster. Let's see if it's actually coming from here and not the connecting thing, or let's make sure it's not coming from the connector or a loose bolt or something like that. And so that's the journey he takes them on, and then finds the problem, gives them the answer, and then teaches them the lesson. And the lesson in, say, the leaking toilet situation is, every year just lift up the cistern, the lid, and have a look at that joint there and make sure it's still intact. And if the float's still intact, then you won't get the leak.
Yep. And
so that's a really simple way to hijack someone's attention. Now, the reason why it works is because the brain's so selfish. When we're as humans, it's the most selfish organ in the body, but as humans, we spend 30% of our waking hours telling ourselves stories. 30% of our day. Whether you're at work, whether you're whatever, your brain is telling itself stories. It's called daydreaming. So what happens is the brain's so lazy, and the brain is actually all about survival, because remember, we used to run around with, defending ourselves from saber-toothed tigers and didn't know when we were going to eat and all that. Humans haven't evolved as far as they think. We've got nicer caves, and power and running water, but what's in our skull still is pretty dated, in a sense, in the way that it reacts. So if you can start telling the brain stories, it will put up shutters and it will block out different distractions. Now, in a place like social media, where it's all about mass disruption and distractions, the ability to grab someone's attention, introduce them to the fact they're going to get a story, their brain puts up blockages so they don't get distracted, you've then got them for the amount of time that you need to raise that emotional level and trigger.
Yep.
Now, here's who's got kids. If there's anyone listening out there that's got kids, particularly kids between the age of, say, 4 and 10, we've all been there, and you walk through the lounge room and they're in front of the television and you say, hey, little Jimmy, little Ricky, little Stacy, go get ready for school, or go clean your room, or go get ready to go out. And you come back 10 minutes later and they're still sitting there in front of the television.
Yep.
It's not their fault. You yell at them and say, hey, I told you 10 minutes ago to go get ready. What are you still sitting there? And they look at you as if, why are you yelling at me? I don't understand why you're yelling at me. This has gone from 0 to 100. I'm like, I don't understand why. It's because their brain have put up the barriers. The television creators, the producers of TV shows, particularly cartoons, they understand these structures and they hijack the attention of the kids. It's not an epidemic. It's just the way that storytelling works.
Yeah.
And so, you can't yell at your kids anymore. So that's one bit of news out of the podcast.
No, I'll find something else to yell at them about.
It's not their fault. So you just have to give them a break on that one.
Turn off the TV first.
The last piece to the puzzle is the emotions themselves. So how do you leave someone feeling? And when it comes to emotions, there's about 17 human emotions. There are variances with sub-emotions. Let's just keep it simple, and there's 17. Out of those 17, there's about half of them are positive and half of them are negative, so happy and sad. And there's probably about 8 that evoke enough of an emotional buy-in to trigger sharing. So you've got to look at how you bring them along those stories, and then how do you push that emotional button. So you've got to look at where you sit as a brand and as a storyteller and say, am I a funeral parlor? Because if I'm a funeral parlor, you're wanting to evoke sadness and loss, and you can see them do it, and the music has to reflect it, and the shots have to reflect it. But if you're an out there say pest controller, you want it to be exciting and exhilarating. And what we know from researching viral videos, and I've dissected over 1,200 of them, is that the difference between the least response emotion and the highest response emotion is about 5x. And so that's boredom to exhilaration. You leave someone feeling bored, they aren't pushing share.
Yeah.
If you want someone to share, you got to make them care. And that's a golden rule that I just throw out. You're just not making them care enough.
Yep.
Well, that's there you go, Coxie. It's time for us to make a viral video
We need to do some more.
of our heads.
Yeah, sorry guys. Sorry about Warwick's head, everyone.
So,
Well, I tell you, you're not too far off with what you're doing, and it's really encouraging that you guys are doing this sort of stuff, because the algorithms are maturing, the whole market's maturing, and Facebook nowadays. Let's put a little quiz with you guys. What do you reckon the average viewing time on YouTube is?
On YouTube? I don't know. My kids sit on YouTube forever. They watch so much stuff on YouTube. I don't know that I could answer that.
I don't know. 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, 13 minutes.
13.
Wow.
There you go. Longer than I thought.
Yeah. So if you're making, the other thing that works on YouTube is that what length do you think YouTube themselves want you to make content for it to be financially viable for them?
Ooh.
Well, that's a good question.
We're normally the ones asking the questions, Johnathan, so we're very uncomfortable here at this point.
That's okay.
I think longer.
So it's
I reckon. Oh, okay. Righto. I was going to go longer.
So it's 10 minutes.
Wow.
Right. So now the reason why YouTube wants videos to be 10 minutes or more is because it allows them to run extra ads in it.
Yeah,
ad
of
rolls.
course.
So YouTube's got a rule that it does the pre-roll ads that we all know, and
Right.
kids are ninjas at skipping and whatever. But then if you get to 10 minutes, they'll run some in the middle as well.
Yeah. Yep.
And then sometimes they'll even run some at the end, which are the strangest ones because it's like, who's getting there? But so when you put those two together, the watch time, the premium watch time figures, and what YouTube wants you to do, these social media guys who are out there telling people, don't make videos longer than 1 minute or 2 minutes long. Well, hold on. The people who host the content want them longer, and the people watching them want them longer.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing. We're starting to see an emergence now of long-form videos. So I don't know if any of you guys are into the UFC, but Joe Rogan's a commentator on the UFC.
Yep.
He used to be the host of Fear Factor.
Mhm.
A little bit high amped, crazy guy. He does a video podcast called the Joe Rogan Experience. It's one of the top podcasts in the world.
I've listened to it.
But it's also
yeah.
video. Goes for 3 hours.
Yeah,
I know.
they
They
just
do my head in.
Go and go.
I had to stop. They're just too long. I don't commute for that long.
Say goodbye to your life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
you're ever doing is listening to him talk.
Yeah.
But he's now overarching, and he's always high up in the recommendeds on YouTube because he talks for 3 hours. And imagine how many ads they can put in 3 hours of him talking.
So I'm a little intrigued, Jonathan. I, as an adult, have never watched YouTube. It's not a thing that has entered into my life whatsoever. My kids watch it religiously. They will sit there and they'll watch an entire football game replay, or they'll watch, my God, I don't even know what they watch on there. And I'm talking late teens. They're all almost adults. So it's a big thing for them, but it's not a big thing for me. Are my customers out in YouTube world? Am I a bit of a freak because I don't watch it?
I don't watch it either.
Okay, we're both freaks.
I watch it for how-tos on how to set up the suspension on my motorcycle.
Same. So if I need a tutorial on what to do for my computer, I'll go there. But are grown-ups using YouTube?
Yeah, they are. They're starting to, for sure. I mean,
Wow.
definitely it's skewed towards the younger audiences because they've grown up with it. My kids are quite talented. They sit on the couch and watch YouTube and television at the same time.
Yeah.
So they have an iPad on their lap and they
Mine
can
too.
multi-view, right? And they don't miss a beat. You can ask, you can go back on the YouTube video and ask them questions, and they know the answers.
Yeah,
so they're not
it's
missing
fascinating.
anything.
They got like
They're
two-track
They're
minds.
just evolving.
Yeah.
Yes, we've
Yeah,
had
they're
this conversation a
evolving
few
humans.
times recently. So my boys are much the same as what you're describing. They'll be playing their computer game. So I don't know, there's some new one, Rainbow Siege, or I don't know. I'm not a cool mum, I don't know.
Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six, that's the one. It's really intense.
Jonathan's a cool dad.
He is a
knows.
cool dad. I'm not a cool mum. You're the cool dad. But it's a really intense game. But they've also got somebody else's game streaming on their knee with YouTube on their telephone, and they're conversing with me while those three things are happening. And you mentioned Gary Vee earlier. I've noticed his content now is very much aimed at that younger audience, so my kids' age. And it is nearly always doing three things at once. It's like the kids' brains are evolving to be able to take on this mass amount of content all at once. It's quite fascinating to watch the change coming.
yeah.
And I wonder if that's then something that we need to start to consider as our clientele is younger. The way we engage right now, for me, as a 40-something-year-old woman, would be to be talking to other 40-year-old women. But in 5-10 years' time, I'm going to need to start talking to the 25 and 30-year-old people. And I'm wondering whether I need to then change the way I do things to be attractive to them and their obviously very diverse minds.
That was like one of my questions.
Well, I think that's a good
Long.
question though, and that's a really valid point. Is that if you want to future-proof your business, you can't ignore what's going on in the world. So, who knows will be around in 10 years? I mean, YouTube might be gone. I highly doubt it, but it might be gone. But if it isn't, you want to be grabbing your real estate on YouTube now because it's going to be a lot easier to get. It's hard to get subscribers on YouTube today. Don't worry, it's hard, but it's much easier than what it's going to be in 10 years.
Yeah, true point.
Because the big brands and the TV networks and everyone's now starting to get into it. So, you need to almost future-proof yourself by having that audience there and keep them engaged and grow them. As Warwick said earlier, YouTube is a great search engine for fixing things. In fact, it's the second biggest search engine on the planet. So if you have searchable content that you can make, definitely make that. And it's called evergreen content. So it's stuff that people will search, today, tomorrow, next month, maybe next year, and it still works. The best video strategy is to have a combination when you're starting a channel of the evergreen stuff with some more personality-based opinion, this type of interview, or, tour this house, have a look at this is my life type stuff. It's the one thing where I fail is I refuse on my YouTube channel. Well, not refuse, I just avoid how to use an iPhone to shoot a video type instructionals and all that sort of stuff because there's millions of them. So my YouTube channel's more about if I find an issue or something in pop culture that I want to go and explore and investigate. So, for example, there was one about McDonald's, and I love McDonald's, as you can tell. For those listening, I'm pointing at my 90-kilogram frame, which should be really 80 kilograms. But McDonald's, when they started offering that order your own, any combination type stuff, I was fascinated with the fact that was the enemy of fast food.
Yes.
So how can you have these 14, 15-year-old kids who now no longer have a set menu? Anyone can come to them with any combination, yet they have to have it out within a minute.
Yeah.
It's not, it's going to break. And so I went and made a video about that. I went into a drive-through and pretended that I'd never been to McDonald's before and tried to get the girl in the drive-through to explain to me what is McDonald's and what do you sell. And, go and have a look. It's on my YouTube channel. And
I need to see that one. That sounds good.
It's the girl. Yeah, it's I won't give away the secret, but that's how I use YouTube, and that in a way that brings customers to me too because they see, oh wow, that was really epic. That was an 8-minute long video, and I didn't want to leave it. How did you do that? And so it's all about putting yourself out there. There's so many different ways to do it. There are no rules in terms of what you should do and how you should do it. All I'd say is just be you.
I think that's the main point there. It's, again, we keep coming back to this, and the recent podcast we're recording is about the connection in one form or another, if you make that connection. And you can only connect with someone if you're being yourself. You can't connect with people when you're putting on an act or doing something different. You can certainly trigger emotions, but that's not the same as connecting with them. And it's that connection that brings about the next step in that phase. I think connection's the real point of what we're trying to do.
So, Johnathan...
got a golden rule that I use clients.
Yep, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Warwick.
No, just it dropped out there for a sec. Yeah, you can... Well, actually, hang on a second. We might...
We'll share the golden rule with our...
Yeah, we might reserve that for our Trade Desk members, actually. So we've got some premium members who get access to bonus content. And your golden rule sounds like it's about to be really cool. So
put the pressure on it now.
Yeah. It better be good, mate. So if you want to...
Hold on.
So if you want Jonathan's golden rule around viral video and making connection, particularly through video, go check out the Trade Desk. But for everybody else, I've got a question to ask you, Johnathan. Well, another one. So Coxie and I are pretty much all about preventing tradie business failures. Because for us, it's the first bad step in a journey towards, relationship stress, mental health issues, all sorts of problems in our society. So we want to get back to the source and prevent tradie business fails. So, mate, what do you think listeners need to do to prevent tradie business fails?
I think the first thing you have to be, and there's a lot of talk about this, is you have to become self-aware. And, even I struggle with this. People might think, oh, you're on a podcast, your life's wonderful. I'm a terrible business person. Terrible. Seriously, like I've been working out of this office in my home since 2012. And, while I've been busy in that time, I look back at 5 years or 7 years, there goes 2 that I missed, and say, what have you been, have you made the best use of your time, or have you been doing the right thing? And I made a rule to myself this year that I wouldn't try and learn every aspect of internet marketing or digital marketing or production. I'd just stick at what I was good at and bring in experts in other areas. And that was a big one for me because, having a wife, a mortgage and 2 kids and leaving a pretty safe, well-paying job to come and do your own thing, there's a lot of pressure. And so it was sort of like, no, I'm going to do it all myself because I don't want anyone to stuff it up. But what I've actually learned over those 7 years is, what? Do what you're good at. Get other people in to help. So I go and get a bookkeeper, I go and get a business manager, I go and get all these other people who can help me. And all of a sudden in 2019, my business has gone from continually growing pretty steadily to going off the charts. And it's because I get to do what I get to do. And starting next month, my whole role will be speaking on the speaking circuit and creating content.
Yep.
And that's all my business needs. I've got the online course, which I can dial into for 1 hour, 1 hour a week to give that group coaching. My book, which I've been writing for 2 years, I need to finish that this weekend. All that stuff. But by bringing in those other people, you actually get better at the other stuff.
Yes.
But it also reduces your anxiety and reduces your stress, and you start sleeping better because it's you're not about. I said fear of the unknown. That's where your fears come from. So all of a sudden, how to do my books or how to balance my books or how to I don't know, use Xero or any of those sorts of things. It's not my problem anymore.
No.
They're gone. Not keeping me awake at night.
Yep.
The better you sleep, the better you operate. So
Absolutely.
what I would say is, probably, would you say that probably the biggest fear that stops people from bringing people in is they're worried about, can they afford it?
Yes.
And I was always like that. I was like, I don't want to, I could save that. I could save that $2,000 a month and just do it myself. Surely I've got time,
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm a big believer of for 5-6 years, I tried to do it myself. And I look back now, 6 months into 2019 and say, I'm an idiot. I've wasted those years. And for anyone who's in the same position, my opinion now is you can't afford not to.
I totally agree.
Yeah, the opportunity cost is massive of spending your time on those things instead of on the things that you're a superhero at. You're a superhero at content creation and speaking, Johnathan. And, for you to be doing book work is obviously not one of your superpowers. So, for our tradies, their superpowers are talking to clients and maybe quoting on jobs and winning work or, leading a team of people to actually do the installs or the repairs or whatever it is. It's probably not filing through invoices and working out which month it's supposed to go in.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
You don't see Superman, making his own meals or anything. Well, does he eat? Does Superman eat?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't make the bed
He
either.
eats Macca's.
That's right. That's right. So that's what I'm building myself up to.
And you're in the bulking phase.
One Big Mac at a time.
Yeah.
Love it.
Saving the world. Awesome. So I'm good, Coxie. I've probably got one more question.
Yes, you always do.
Yeah. So tradies have listened to this. They've got to the end, so they've proved that their attention span is longer than 2.5 seconds because they've just got through a 40-odd minute podcast with you, Johnathan, which is probably more testament to you than us.
Quick,
I think
though,
so.
hasn't it?
It has gone. They do go quick.
But, mate, they've listened to this and they're like, okay, I get it. I need to do some video. I want to make it viral. What's the first place to start, or what's the first thing they should do?
The first thing they should do is work out who they are. Just sit down and ask their friends, ask their circle, ask their apprentices, have a look at the market and say, okay, if I'm a builder, what sort of builder am I? Am I the high-end builder? Am I the middle builder? Am I the California bungalow specialist builder? Am I the dollar a brick builder? Am I the subdividing units builder? Work out who you are and where you stand. And then once you know where you stand, you can then start telling your story. And you can start telling your story depending on whatever happens in the world. You'll never be short of an idea ever again. Because when interest rates change, or when the market changes, or populations increase, and there's all these discussions around where are people going to live, and we're getting more and more people, you can sit there as, if you're the subdividing guy, hey, if you've got a house on a big block, it's a perfect time to subdivide, because look at these statistics that are showing that population's increasing. Prices are still going up. Interest rates have gone down, so people are going to have more money to spend. It's a great time to subdivide. We're experts in it. Here's one that we did previously. Look at the outcomes. Here's a little bit of data, not too much, but just a little bit of data to prove what you're talking about is correct. So once you know who you are, and this is the biggest problem with people out there at the moment, because they're never trained to do this, and we don't expect you to be. There are kids growing up now who are, they're media moguls from their iPhones because they've grown up with it.
Yeah.
But the people who are in that mass business at the moment, so 30 to 50, we didn't. We're learning it on the run.
Yeah.
So no one expects you to be able to know how to do this just yet. But I sort of use it as look at Channel 9, for example, and their news broadcasts. They have the Today Show in the morning. That delivers news in a certain way. Then they have their afternoon news. Then they have their 6 o'clock news, and then they have a current affair. You can have days where those news bulletins, morning, noon, dinner time, and after dinner, report on the same story, the same event, but they'll report on the event differently. In breakfast, it'll be a bit more fun and a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more conversational. Afternoon news will be aimed more towards women and elderly, so they'll shift the story that way. 6 o'clock is more of a mass market. Here are the facts. Bang, 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 bang. Move on to the next, and then a current affair will be more of your sensationalist, grab your attention. Add some drama to it. But essentially, it's the same story. You've just got to look at those different news broadcasts as different characters.
Different
and here's
types
the thing,
of businesses.
different types of businesses. So once you know what sort of business you are, you then know how you have to broadcast your story. If you don't know who you are, then you've got no chance of ever being able to tell your story because you don't know what role you're playing in it.
Makes complete sense.
Done. Coxie, you need to make some videos. Johnathan, if people want to find out more about you and what you do and how to engage with you, mate, where do they go? We're going to be killed.
On all the Johnathan Creek's my page. You can find me on all. Did that drop out?
It
Find me
did.
on all the socials.
Can you do that again
I
for
didn't
us,
do that
please,
on
Jonathan?
purpose.
Damn it! Those internet demons.
Oh, yes.
You can find me on all the socials. Facebook's probably the main one. Facebook.com/Johnathan Creek. Twitter. Anywhere that they want to find me, you'll be able to find me. Just type me in, and I'll be there.
We'll have all the links in the show notes as usual as well.
Yep. Just so the internet can't run foul of us.
So no, internet fairies.
Yeah. It's Facebook. They're listening. Well, mate.
Always.
Thanks for pitching us, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Been a great interview, mate, and some gold in there. I like the map of the world on your wall there, mate. That's impressive. I want a background like that, Coxie. Yeah.
Well, look, you've got my beautiful mirror and fireplace and lounge.
And the
I
ceiling.
don't have the Avon lady knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Hey, look, this happens every single time we record a podcast. Somebody starts building or somebody drops something off. Or I don't know. There's always something.
It's tradies in business. What do you expect? So
Can I explain the map? Can I explain the map on the
Please,
go for it. Because people are like, what map?
I've got a decal stickered map on my wall, but it's metallic. But I put it on there because I do a lot of podcasts into America, and they don't know that the rest of us exist. you do realise I'm down here, this little bit here, and that little bit up there, that's New Zealand.
Yeah. See all this other stuff? That's the rest of the world.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean?
Yeah. You're crazy, man.
I thought that was satellite TV.
Cool, mate. Well,
Brilliant.
look, all the best with the rest of 2019. Sounds like you finally figured it out in terms of outsourcing stuff, mate. And stick around, and we'll put that golden rule together for the Trade Desk members. So for Trade Desk members, go log in and you can grab that through your premium access area. And otherwise, we're signing off.
Thanks for listening.
Hooroo.
You've been listening to the Tradies in Business podcast with Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business, and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.